How's it going, everyone? Well, this video is about the so-called 7 Noahide Laws and the scriptural basis for such a entity. I'm going to read through the book of a little bit of the book of Genesis from Genesis 8:15 to 9:17. Now, the context of these verses is right after the flood. This is when Noah and his 3 sons and their wives are deboarding the ark, and that's before the verses start. And at the end of the verses is when Noah first plants his vineyard. And actually, a quick and fun fact about the vineyard is that modern day Mount Ararat, which is somewhere in Turkey, is actually the world's oldest vineyard. And I mean, that's what it says in the Bible. So it's funny, you can confirm archaeology with the Bible, not the other way around. Like people would like to have it. Anyways, tell me if you can identify any 7 specific laws. You're going to find a covenant, but that covenant is God's promise not to destroy the world with water again. Okay? So 8:15, here we go. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons. My mistake, I didn't say Noah's wife. Of course she's there. I wasn't denigrating the woman. Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all flesh, both of the fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all these things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I made between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant, which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Did you hear anything about laws there? No. Covenant, as I said previously, was God's promise not to destroy the earth with a flood. Now he says some other things here, like be fruitful and multiply. It's not a law, it's a command. And he gives commands, and he describes the conditions that these people are going to be living in. For he says, be fruitful, multiply. That's one command. And the fear of you, he's talking about man's dominion over the natural world. We're hunters. We're commanded to be hunters. We are hunters. We're fishers. We're fowlers. He's saying every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. And aside from the specific dietary laws that are given to Israel, the fact that he's saying food is basically anything of these living creatures that of course apply to the other generations of the Gentiles, which come from Japheth. And so this condition applies to everyone. He doesn't want anyone to drink blood, but and he's giving a preview for animal sacrifices that he requires in verse 9, 9 verse 5. And he's talking about the notion of retribution in verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. This is also a preview of Jesus' words. He who lives by the sword will die by the sword. And again, he says, be fruitful and multiply. He doesn't say anything about sexual impurity, which is one of the 7 Noahide laws, I guess. The thing is, the 7 Noahide laws don't come from Old Testament scripture. The Orthodox Jews, they don't. The Old Testament is inferior to them, or to their Mishnah. In fact, Hebrew scriptures are studied with the Mishnah, or the study of the Hebrew scriptures are the act of studying them away from Mishnah is considered pointless. It's denigrated. That practice is denigrated. It's useless, according to the Talmud, I guess. I have a few notes here going off again from Judaism's Strange Gods, and I'm going to be critiquing that book overall as well. But there are just some things that are shocking that I've already known this about the Talmud. Just to remind you, the 7 Noahide laws are found in the Talmud, but there are some other things here as well. The Talmud says that God is a liar because they say that David did not sin. Now, clearly, God said to David, the sword shall never leave your house. Because David sent Uriah off to die on the front lines in a war because he was lusting after his wife, Bathsheba. Now, out of Bathsheba, obviously, came Solomon, so there was actually some good in that, because obviously Christ is of the Davidic lineage. So we eventually get Jesus because of David, because of Solomon. But to say that he didn't sin is a complete error. It's foolishness, because God blatantly says that the sword shall never leave your house. God punishes him for what he does. All right, starting with his children. one of his sons raping one of his daughters. So it's pretty strong indication of him sinning and him receiving divine punishment. So God is a liar in the Talmud. That's what they say. Hitting a Jew is the same as hitting God because they consider themselves gods. It's okay to cheat a non-Jew. Oh, the hitting Jew is hitting God. Hitting God is found in Sanhedrin 58b. Okay to cheat a non-Jew or goy is Sanhedrin 57a. By the way, the Sanhedrin were the ones who delivered Jesus Christ up to the Romans to be crucified. Okay to steal from goy, Baba Metzia 24a. Okay to rob and kill a goy, Sanhedrin 57a. Okay to lie to a goy, Baba Kama 113a. Yeladim Goyim, or children of non-Jews, are subhuman, which is in Sanhedrin 106a. I have other notes that I'm going to take. I'm reading a book by Peter Schaefer. He's a head of a Hebrew studies, I believe it is. And the book is called Jesus in the Talmud. So I'm going to be doing an in-depth review of that book. But I have one criticism for Michael Hoffman. One, he's a Catholic for one, and I have a few qualms about the Catholic faith. And I have more videos that I have to do about the Catholics as well. But he makes this. The book is basically a giant screed against Jews, and I have problems with Jews as well. But it behooves us to be objective in the things that we're writing and saying. He makes this ridiculous claim like the Hebrew language it's not readable. Yes, the Hebrew language is unique in that it consists only of consonants, but there was an addition at a certain point of vowel points on it. I'm learning to read Hebrew. I know a good amount, but to say that no one can read Hebrew is a lie. It's a lie. Have they probably debated on pronunciation of certain things? Probably. The rabbis argue about everything. The only thing they can agree about is their hatred of Jesus, basically. So, just a quick thing on Noahide Laws. Let's just do a quick search on the Noahide Laws. Excuse me. Because we didn't see anything in the Genesis account in chapter 8 and 9, right? I mean, since it's on Wikipedia, we know who keeps a pretty good, watchful eye on Wikipedia. The 7 laws, according to the Talmud, are not to worship idols, not to curse God, to establish courts of justice, not to commit murder, not to commit adultery, bestiality, or sexual immorality, not to steal, not to eat flesh torn from a living animal. Now, I don't know if you got that anywhere in chapters 8 and 9 in Genesis, but I'll tell you that I certainly didn't. It's funny how these rabbis conduct their hermeneutics. You may know that you're not supposed to do any work on the Sabbath if you're an Orthodox Jew, if you're observing the Talmud. You're not allowed to spit on the ground on the Sabbath because that spitting and the poof of dust that could come up is considered plowing the earth. So there's just some ridiculous conclusions that are drawn in the Talmud. And it's kind of silly, but it's also to be taken seriously because we're basically under the Noahide Laws in America. God bless you in Jesus Christ.